What's up, everyone, and welcome to episode 271 of The Ball is Round. I'm Andy Coronado, and tonight I'm joined by my boys, Elias Grigoriadis and Hadi Rafael. How are we doing, gentlemen?
Man, you never miss that. I love
Man,
it.
he's literally waiting all of Monday to mess me up because it works. It works.
Just right
every
for the
single time.
people that are listening on audio, every time that he says Elias Grigoriadis and Hadi Rafael, he puts Hadi Rafael first and then Elias
Yes.
Grigoriadis second, just because he loves doing that. You know what? Next time, Andy, just switch it up. I'm pretty sure he's not going to be able to remember.
Honestly, I think I'm just gonna do the
You
whole introductions
underestimate
and
my reflexes. You underestimate my reflexes. What's the matter with you?
maybe.
I'm just gonna do the whole introduction in Spanish. He's gonna be like, "Wait, what?"
We still have the same names in Spanish, dude.
Exactly, that's what I was gonna say. Unless Elias, there's a name in Spanish for Elias. I'm pretty sure there isn't one for Hadi. But
Elias.
It's actually
Yes.
Luis technically.
Hadi is ha ha ha. Yeah. Anyways, all right. So this is the
Okay.
first.
Whatever.
This is the first, guys. It's the first post World Cup episode.
Yeah.
Believe it or not, guys. Yep, the World Cup is over. It's done. It's finished. It's been.
It's a second World Cup episode, non-World Cup episode. Like last time, we didn't have Canada.
No,
No.
I'm saying, but now the World Cup is done. So it's
True.
man, you guys are messing me up today. So it's the first post World Cup episode. What were your thoughts? Like, just kind of give me guys your thoughts overall. I'll give you my thoughts about it. I think it's crazy that it's over. It just feels like unreal. Like I spent all day today thinking, what game is next? Which country is playing which country? Like, and then I was like, but no, yesterday was such a fantastic game to the last. It literally was almost perfect. Were there plenty of controversies? 100% political, off the field, on the field, whatever you want. But it was a fantastic game, and it was the perfect way to finish this tournament because at some point during the final game, it actually hit me. I was like, hey, there were some really, really good games in this tournament that really like caught my attention until like 1 a.m. and had me thinking and talking like the whole day about it. And it just passed by, and now it's done. How are you guys feeling post World Cup?
I'm happy for one major reason. Besides the fact that Spain won, I'm very happy that
Okay,
Spain
that
won,
was
obviously.
the obvious one.
But I'm happy that almost every team showed up to play. Almost every team was serious and demanded respect and played properly. You know, there were some teams that obviously showed up and they were not at a World Cup level. But you know, for
There were
everyone
like
saying,
what,
"Oh,
three,
you're
four
going
teams
exactly right," but
on 48.
if you look at everyone going, "Oh, 48 teams, oh, that's too many, man."
64.
Like realistically, 44
No,
of the teams
until now, unfortunately.
44 of the teams, I
Yeah.
think, more or less, right, were proper, showed up, came to play, and delivered at least respectable performances worthy
Yeah.
of playing at a World Cup. And I think that is a great proof of concept for the expansion. We can get into the minutia of the 64 teams in 4 years. I don't want to talk about that right now, but I think that right now the format of the tournament is great. The only thing I would change is take out head-to-head as a tiebreaker. Bring back goal
Yeah.
differential so you can have real drama on the last day. That would be fantastic. And I think that, you know, moments like 4 years ago where Costa Rica, Japan, Spain, and Germany were all in and out of the tournament, at one point over 90 minutes, you will never get that with head-to-head. Or it's almost impossible to get that with head-to-head unless you get a bunch of draws. And then nobody, you know, you need perfect circumstances. But drama like that, drama you can only really get at the World Cup, you need that kind of group stage madness, especially when everything's happening at the same time. You've got two screens and you literally can't tear your attention away from either. You can only get that at the World Cup. So I hope they bring that back. But overall, on the field, I think this was a fantastic World Cup.
Yeah, I
Hadi,
agree.
what were your thoughts?
Oh yeah, I completely agree with Elias. Now for the head-to-head, I'm not sure. I can't wait to see if we go to 64. You know, there won't be, you know, the best third, so that would make things a bit easier. Just the top two will qualify. But yeah, I get your point, Elias. Like even like if you remove the head-to-head, there's more drama. I get your point. But no, I love the World Cup. It's just people are always complaining about the off the field stuff and everything, but like every World Cup there's something like that. Like in 2022 it was human rights, and in 2018 it was human rights again because it was in Russia. And then
2026 it was human rights.
no, but like there's
Human
always
rights.
something,
Unhuman.
right?
Yeah.
There's always something, right? So like unfortunately, it's like our everyday life. There's always something that's bad, right? So but we enjoyed it. I think every time we watched the game it was really, really nice. I think the best team won the tournament, which is also super nice. Not the best players, but the best team. And that's what I like about it, because if it was the best players, we would have a lot more people saying, I love this player, so whenever this player goes, I'm be a fan of this club. No, that's not how soccer works. How soccer works is 11 players, 11, 18, 26 players playing together, creating harmony between them and winning games. And if you look at the Spanish team, I think there's only two or three players from the 23 that haven't played a minute. The rest, they all played a part of the World Cup, sometimes a minute or two, but still they had a part in that World Cup. And that's what I love. I love that team. I've never been a fan of Spain as my best team. No, not that. But at least I think football won just because of the team play that team showed.
Yeah.
And I agree with that. I actually tell me what you guys. I got some chills when they focused on the 2010 squad. You see Sergio Ramos, Iker Casillas, all of them just jumping. I'm like, oh my God, what a perfect moment. You see these guys that, have obviously some of them, most of them are done playing. And you see them just like the whole game, just kind of trying to keep a straight face, trying to keep it together and all that. And then they just lose their minds and it almost feels like they're still playing. So you're absolutely right, Hadi. I felt like it was a very competitive game. If we're analyzing the way Argentina played, they played a very, very defensive game. They almost played scared, and Scaloni's substitutions were a little bit confusing to me. But at the same time, there were also some injuries. But at the end of the day, look, I wanted Spain to win against Argentina just because I come from South America, and whenever we play any other South American team, we have a very hard time, and so supporting them in any other competition, and Argentina is no different. But when we speak about teams and we speak about playing at a high level, we got to talk about Montreal soccer because that's what the show's about, right? So we're going to talk today about CF Montreal, Roses FC, and FC Supra de Quebec, because there's a bunch of storylines happening, right? Guys, it feels like every week, in December, sometimes we have a hard time, like, getting topics or, because there's no games or there's no, no trades, no whatever. It's nonstop. It doesn't stop. There are things going left and right, and we absolutely love it, and we're here for that. But before we get started, if you're enjoying The Ball is Round, hit like, subscribe, and turn on all your notifications so you can never miss an episode. It really helps support the channel. Then let us know your thoughts in the comment. We want to hear your take. And be sure to follow us on all of our social media channels for the latest on CF Montreal, Rose FC, and FC Supra de Quebec. Thank you guys so much. Hadi, Elias, we've seen the increase in following in Facebook, Instagram, X, Blue Sky, everywhere. We really appreciate the support, guys. So thank you so much for continuing to support us. All right, so we'll start with the big topic, CF Montreal. Okay, it's a big topic because we will talk about the X's and O's of CF Montreal's derby against Toronto on Thursday night now, right? Yeah, Thursday night. But there's bigger news. There's bigger news. It's about the Olympic Stadium, right? So that the Quebec government gave the green light to fund the rebuild of the interior of the stadium. The roof was already being worked on. What do they call it? The technical roof was being worked on, and it was set to be open in 2028. But now the biggest part is the interior. Hadi, can you explain a little bit to our listeners why it is that the interior is so important to be approved, especially for CF Montreal?
Yeah, for sure, because it's as simple as it was old, man. It was old and not modernized anymore. It wasn't suitable for any major event to happen in that stadium. It's as simple as that. Like first of all, sound was not good at all. So even concert, you weren't able to do that there. Second of all, the first like the Olympic Stadium was built to host a baseball team, so it wasn't done for a soccer team. So the stands were a bit too far from the pitch. So that's the second problem, and the third, like the washrooms, the food stands, like you're back in the 80s, so like it's not up to the standards of what the MLS and what you know 2026 is all about, 2028 is all about, right? So you need to modernize all this to attract people. And when I say attract people, of course you want to attract tourists and everybody, but also you want to attract the people of the city, the people of Montreal. When they go to that stadium, they have to be proud of that stadium. They have to look at the stadium and say, "Oh man, this is nice. Oh man, they did that. Oh man, oh, that's so nice. I can go. I can grab a bite. There's so many choices. You know what? I feel good whenever I'm there. And this is something that's very important if you want to have season tickets. And obviously, the most important thing is the premium seats, because as of today, in the world of soccer, as of today, this is what brings money to the clubs. Not only the clubs that are going to be in that stadium, for the whole year, but even for events. Like if you get, let's say, I don't know, Taylor Swift. Let's say, okay, you get Taylor Swift. Like that, those premium seats are going to be sold for so much money, and this is where you're going to get most of your money, not from the average Joes that come pay their ticket $150, $300. This is not where the money comes from. The money comes from the premium seating, and this is going to be improved also on the Olympic Stadium.
Elias, can you maybe tell us a little bit, again, for our listeners, what this means for the future of CF Montreal and the future of soccer here in Quebec?
It means that CF Montreal is moving. They're moving down the street, but they're moving.
That's a clip.
Exactly. Look, Don Garber came to Montreal, came out of his way to come to Montreal, and in no uncertain terms, basically held up a shotgun to the city, to the club, to the provincial government, to everybody, and said, if you don't make this happen, the club faces the same fate that Vancouver might face, for different reasons, obviously, but where relocation is imminent unless something drastic happens. And whether it was redoing or giving Supra Stadium a facelift, which again you have to remember is also getting up there in years, and is also maybe not necessarily as old as Olympic Stadium, but is definitely in need of a facelift when you look at all the modern stadiums being built for MLS. Or if it's moving into Olympic Stadium, something from a renovation standpoint needs to happen. And just tacking on a couple premium seats to the already existing Saputo Stadium layout is not going to cut it. I mean, like a big facelift. So Don Garber, the club was open to it, and I think they alone maybe didn't necessarily have the clout to move as much weight in the provincial government as maybe they hoped. So bring in someone like Don Garber is obviously effective, but it was an ultimatum. It was a very nicely dressed and polished ultimatum that Don Garber gave. And this is now, this is the reality. What they're going to have to do now in between today and opening day with a new schedule and winter games and the reality of not being able to play a big chunk of your season in Montreal is another story, but they've kind of made their bed and they have to sleep in it. Right, they've delayed on renovations, be it Saputo Stadium or Olympic Stadium. They've delayed on winterizing Saputo Stadium. So now you kind of have to deal with the reality of you got this job done, and you have to now go quickly because you have the shortened season that's coming up, and then you have a full season. And look, they say 2029, right? But if we're being realistic, this is Montreal, and I'll believe it when I see it, when they meet a deadline. So it's something that definitely has to be taken into account. I think this is obviously good news, but you also have to remember that this arrangement is nice on paper, but in practice, it also has to be financially viable. And Hadi was talking about bringing in not just fans, but bringing in the premium seating. You need to, not only do you have to deliver a team that is worthy of playing in front of and bringing in more than double the amount of people that they can already bring in to Supra Stadium. But you could be the best team in the league or one of the best teams in the league and still not get that done, right? Take a look at Vancouver, which is still a massive soccer market and will probably get a big boost from this World Cup. But they've had attendance problems basically forever. If you take into account the size of BC Place, if you take into account the sheer amount of people that are at their stadium, it's not necessarily an issue. But when you realize that BC Place is effectively half full every single game, that's when there were issues of rent and cost effectiveness and all this stuff kind of comes up to boils to the surface. So I have mixed feelings about this, but I think generally this is a good. This is good. But you also have to now put your money where your mouth is, right? So now Saputo and the club, they got what they wanted. They got the government to foot the majority of the bill. You now have to splash the cash to make the rest of this viable.
I agree.
Yeah, but you said you have mixed feelings. I just want to understand this because if you have mixed feelings, so that means you would prefer like Cfmtl to move out because there's no way they can stay in Stade Saputo.
I think what he means.
I would have rather they renovate Saputo Stadium like 3 years ago.
Saputo Stadium, like close it out,
like redo
with a
Saputo
roof and
Stadium.
everything.
With not necessarily a roof, but winter.
But that's the problem. The problem.
No, because
the problem is the winter calendar, right?
It doesn't matter because you have people at BMO Field that play during the winter. And yeah, if you want, there's going to be a month off in January, and if you want to maybe take a couple home games, like a road trip before the break and after the break to kind of make up for the.
But that's what Garber doesn't want anymore, right? Garber said
that's what's going to happen.
No. Garber said
he has to be realistic because where's Toronto going to play? Toronto has a winterized stadium. The whole Azteca thing that happened, that was fantastic. But that only happened because it's a winterized stadium, and it wasn't even that bad of a snow day, right?
I understand, but like either way, like Garber said, and it was very clear that he doesn't want teams to have like 6 away games at the beginning of the season or whatever at one point of the season. He doesn't want that. He'll do it like exceptionally, and that's what he's going to do for CF Montreal whenever they're not going to have the Olympic Stadium, and that's okay. But ultimately, what he wants a home and away game, like week in, week out. This is how the format should be, right? So
I get it, but
knowing all that,
CIA weather machine, that's not going to happen. We live in Minnesota, New York. New York's going to be an outdoor stadium too. Right? You think there's snow in New York? They got blizzards.
It does, but like
Boston,
you'll postpone one game. You're not going to postpone a three a month of games, right?
No, but here's the thing: winterizing, like winter, like again. I'm not saying we're going to get snow. They're going to play in conditions like the Canadian Premier League final. I'm not saying that. What I'm saying is winterizing the field and having it outdoor still makes it playable.
Yeah, I don't disagree with you, but I don't know. We'll see. Now it's going to be the Olympic Stadium. It's going to be very interesting, and I'm not on the fence. I'm super happy that this is happening.
That's it. It's one of those things that you have to look because I asked both of you guys to kind of just give the information, right? Because it's information you guys said about what's going on with the stadium. How do you spoke about it maybe on a more macro level, while Elias spoke about it more on a micro level with the CF Montreal. But the reality is that this is going to be a huge shift in soccer. Now, as Elias said, nothing is set in stone yet. Yes, what is set on stone is the renovation. Have there been signed papers? No. CF Montreal just let out a statement and they said, we love it. Good job, guys. Love what you did. Now we're just going to go talk and we'll be right back. But that is, again, nothing is set in stone. Once it is set on stone, I think this is a major thing when we talk about soccer. It's a major in the sense of what happens with Stade Saputo. Is it going to be an FC Supra Rose FC now, home now? Because it is a soccer stadium at the end of the day. And Rose FC have not have any trouble filling up their stadium. So, and I say Rose FC specifically, but the thing is, it's also going to be in a much bigger picture, as you mentioned, Hadi, the Taylor Swifts. There's also the potential, maybe the Montreal Alouettes renting also the stadium. There's also probably going to be other events. We're not just talking about concerts. It's a major move because that means that the Quebec government sees a future in this in this sports world in the province, and this is what again, what is the first thing when we go to social media, guys, and CF Montreal loses 2-0, 3-0? What's the first comments that stand out to you? On déménage, on déménage, on déménage. No,
We're
man.
moving out. Yeah, I know.
We're here to stay. Yeah, we're gonna lose some games and we're gonna lose some poor games, maybe have other bad seasons. But the reality is that there's a solid agreement that they're gonna stay here for a long time.
I can't wait to see what the agreement is going to be about. And I've been listening to a lot of people talking about this. And when Jeremy Filosa mentioned it on 98.5, he said that of course Joey Saputo and the Saputo family is gonna wait a couple of years or 3 years to see if they're getting money, and then they'll take another decision. But you know what? If I'm the Olympic Stadium, I would sign a guarantee with the CF Montreal. Listen, we're doing all that, but I want a 10-year lease.
Yeah.
And this is going to be super important because, yes, we are believers of the CF Montreal here on The Ball is Round, for sure. We want the MLS to stay here. But at the same time, we are also Montrealers. So if Montrealers are paying for the renovation of such a big stadium, which is super important in my opinion, not only for soccer, but for everything else. I've never been in a big city where you didn't have a big stadium. So this is super important for the city of Montreal. But at the same time, being the ones paying for that, we need to make sure that CF Montreal signs an agreement that they'll be staying here for at least 10 years. Or else it's not worth it, right? So I want to be on CF Montreal's side. At the same time, I have to be on Montreal's side, right? So we need to find the proper agreement so that everybody finds their
juste milieu, as they say.
Their juste milieu, exactly. You need that. And honestly, I think it's going to be super interesting. Like I said, concerts are going to be amazing. And also with the with the winter schedule, you're gonna be able to have games all year long, because if the Alouettes are here, the Alouettes play in the summer. So Alouette will play in the summer, CF Montreal will play in the winter. That will be awesome for the city of Montreal. I can't wait.
I honestly can't wait to visit the new bathrooms. But it's really exciting to.
That's phase 3. Yeah? That's phase 3.
So
maybe
excited.
they're gonna open phase 1 first, and then phase 2 and phase 3 is gonna be down the way. And I think this is what's gonna happen.
I wanted to see those new bathrooms, but it's it's something that's, like I said, the first 2 days after the announcement, I remember I was like sitting down and I was telling my wife, and I was like, this is really good news. I feel really good about this. Like I said, you still have to be skeptical until papers are signed, but at the end of the day, let's just think about it in the big picture, guys. The Quebec government has approved the renovations of the interior of the Stade Olympique.
Yeah.
Something 6 months ago, you guys asked me the question, hey, you think that the Quebec government is going to approve the renovations of the Stade Olympique? I would have said, oh, I don't know.
I always knew they would fold.
And 2 months ago, I didn't share this, but 2 months ago, I actually watched that for the first time, the Netflix documentary of Who Killed the Expos. And it gave me chills. It gave me goosebumps. I was like, it's too similar. The situation is very, very similar, unfortunately. But I didn't want to overthink it. But times have changed.
But I think this is the reason why it was approved, because I think they lived through the loss of the Expos, and this have kept a scar in every Montrealer's heart, whether you like baseball or not. It's a staple of Montreal that we lost. As simple as that. Whether you like baseball or not, we all were fans of the city, and in our heart, we knew deep down inside that the Montreal Expos were here. So when they went away, a part of us went away, and we didn't want that to happen once again. So I'm so happy that this fear hopefully is done. So we'll see if it's I can't wait to see the rest of the story and see how it's going to unfold.
100%. And I do want to give a shout out to anybody that's listening. So I do believe that there was pressure also from the people.
hundred
I
percent.
think the people did raise their voice. They let the government know that, hey, this is important to us. And the government listen, because the government, forget about votes. Well, I'm not even going to get into that. Like, just the government does listen, and
Yeah.
they do want your approval, right? They want you to approve of them. So the more you speak, the more you let your opinion be known, the more the tide turns towards the direction you want it to. So
Yeah, and the people that vehiculated that pressure, like, don't forget the media that did their job. Jeremy Filosa, Maxime Truman. Those people have done a great job. Voicing their opinions and saying, "Look how many people are with me now." And, like, don't forget that this is super important. That pressure is super important. I named only the two of them. There are
you
others,
do.
and at the same time, I think us too for sure. But at the same time, I can also say I truly believe that what's happening with the Whitecaps also helped in a way. There
It's a
was pressure
cautionary
from
tale.
that.
Yeah.
Yeah, exactly.
Yeah.
There was pressure from there.
And say what you may too, guys, but Don Garber's visit, that was something. And that
Yeah,
was
that
the
helped.
I do really do think that the Saputos were playing their hand there. They told them, "Hey man, we need your help because they're not really believing us that the MLS is serious about us. So come here and talk your
I
shit."
think you want to know what I think, and it's based on nothing. This is my speculation. I think that Joey Saputo was like, man, let's sell the team. He said that to Don Garber, and Don Garber is like, no, I don't want you to sell the team. What do you need from me? This is what I need. Okay, I'm coming. This is what happened. This is what I think happened.
Based on nothing.
Based on nothing.
Yeah, no,
Based
it's
on
super
it was
exciting.
revealed to me in a dream, and
Yeah,
that's how I
Exactly.
answered. Yeah.
Exactly.
yeah. So those are very exciting news. We're gonna hear the ballers on. We're gonna continue, covering it, and we're gonna, talk about it every step of the way. Like we said, we're not minimizing the news. We think it's major news, and also, for us guys that we cover this team, not just FC Super Rose FC. We've been covering CF Montreal for a long time. We've had these conversations outside of the pod, and we've always been concerned. But we feel good because at least we know that the government has done their part, and now it's up to the team to do their
Yeah.
part. But the team
Yep.
also did show that they are willing to invest in this team.
Yeah. But you know what? Time is freaking ticking.
Yes.
Like, we really need those investments right
Is the
now.
investment in the room with us?
Huh?
Well, what
Is the
investment?
is the investment in the room with us?
I don't get it.
It's okay. It's okay.
They bring it. No, I mean it's a good segue into the market, because the market is now officially
Yeah.
open,
Yeah.
Yeah.
right?
Let's talk about that.
They brought in Danny Pereira, which I think is a fantastic signing. We saw his debut this week against TFC. We'll get into the actual on-field stuff in a minute.
Yeah.
But
Yeah.
I think they got an absolute steal. Again, they are known league-wide now as people that can really generate fantastic value in inter-MLS acquisitions.
Yeah.
Danny Pereira is another one that I think that they got for stronger than that. They got him for less than Dante Sealy cost. Think about it that way.
Ooh.
But when you look at the state of the team,
the selling.
it's
of
not a
Dante
shot at
Sealy
Dante
was a
Sealy.
steal.
It's not a shot at Dante Sealy. But currently, Dante Sealy is not having the time of his life in
He's on
Colorado.
the bench, no? Yeah.
He's not playing that much in Colorado, and he's not. But again, remember, right? Dante Sealy had a very slow start to the season in Montreal, and then he turned into the best player in the league for the last month and a half. So maybe he needs time to grow. That'll be fine, and I'm still hoping for the best for him, especially because he's not in the Eastern Conference. But right now, right, and the lineup that we saw against Vancouver FC in the Canadian Championship, the lineup we saw against TFC, the big glaring hole, and we talked about it last week. We're going to talk about this week is up top. Because if you have Prince Wusu who's suspended and who has a minor knock to his knee, we don't really know what the extent of it is. It caused him to be subbed out against Vancouver. I think he'll be fine. He's a trooper, but he's not.
No, he's fine. He's fine.
Yes, but he's human.
Yeah.
You have Wiki Carmona, who's out long term still with a very similar knee injury to what kept out Joseph Martinez and Matias Corcaro for like 2 months. He's still got a brace on walking around outdoors, let alone playing. So forget him up until maybe the run to the playoffs. And there's no Ivan Jaime.
Yeah, 100%.
Bringing in Danny Pereira filled a massive gap that was needed because there was no conductor. There was no kind of metronomic piece in the midfield that can control the ball, control the tempo, and I think he's going to do a fantastic job at controlling and managing that aspect of play. But when it comes to the final third of the field, I understand the window is long and the window closes in August, but the games are happening now.
Yeah.
The games are happening now. You already played one. You've got Miami in 5 days, and you've got Nashville in 2. And I'm sorry, with all due respect, if it's a front three of Noah Streit, Danny Rios, and Hennady Sinchuk, I don't foresee things in Nashville going particularly well. But here's the problem now, right?
Let's say it like it is. Let's say it like it is. We're
Here,
fucking
Cassius.
late, man. We're fucking late.
Yeah.
We're
Because even
already late.
if you bring the guy in today,
Yeah.
it's at least 2 weeks. Even if
100%.
he is top, even if he is fantastic, it's at least 2 weeks until he's up to just understanding what Philippe Lafra wants. He also had a long ass break. We don't know if he's coming from Europe. He's in off season, so he needs to have a little mini preseason before he can get into proper form. If he's coming from Inter MLS, he needs some time just to kind of get up to speed.
Yeah, but you need,
just to understand that you're looking at a player who is at best a sub for the next 2 weeks.
Yeah,
by that time, worst case scenario, you could be out of the playoffs. You could be fighting for staying away from the wooden spoon territory if things go poorly.
Look, I think that CF Montreal did a fantastic job in cleaning house. Great job. They even announced it.
They were late on that too.
Yeah, but did you guys see the announcement on the Thomas Aviles?
Yeah.
Did you guys see the Thomas?
Yeah.
What the fuck?
But you know what?
Bye. That's basically what they said.
Hey, at least they didn't do like the Brazilian club. Did you guys saw that?
Which one?
No.
There's a Brazilian club that sold a player, and when they sold him, like the posts on social media were all his bloopers.
Oh, Jesus.
Of the season.
Okay.
Oh man, it was hilarious.
No, but
the number
I'm
of times
sorry.
he lost the ball, man, that was hilarious.
No, but Hari, Elias, I mean, before when we released players like Victor Wanyama, you said, merci, thank you, with a little picture. You said,
shit, man, Aviles, man. He didn't do shit.
It doesn't matter. What kind of release statement is
Bye,
that?
man. It didn't work for you. Bye.
I literally was refreshing the account, hoping that it was like, this must be a troll account. This can't be. This is unreal.
No,
and
they
then
just said it didn't work out. Bye. That's it. Like, you're not gonna say thank you. He didn't do shit.
The thing is, look, this is what I'm gonna say. I think they did a fantastic job, and as you said, Elias, they're late with it, but they did it. They cleaned house. They got rid of Sunusi. They got Sunusi.
But they love cleaning house.
Mahala
They love
Poku.
it.
They got rid of Thomas Aviles. They got rid of. I'm missing somebody else. They loaned out. I will say it. It is confirmed. They loaned out Alex Kuboglu. And don't tell me that it's just a rumor. I know it's already officially done.
Well, he's not a training. He wasn't in the game day squad.
No, he's out. He's already in Europe. He's already in Europe, settled in. And they're who else? They got rid of five guys, right? What I'm talking about right now.
Got rid. Like for me, Guboglu is a loss. It's not getting rid of.
And now you have injured players as well that are not playing and suspended. So you clean house, fantastic. But you have an empty house now.
Exactly.
You have empty rooms. So what are we doing? Because the season is still happening. So my prediction is that, okay, maybe the correlation is insane. Maybe it's crazy to think of it this way, but I really do think that this team was waiting for the announcement before they made big investments in the roster.
Yeah, but at least you would have signings lined up.
That doesn't mean shit, man.
If
the government says we're not moving,
as soon as the stadium would have been like settled, the same day we should have had the announcements. The government training now with the club.
If the government said no, we're not doing it, they're not moving tomorrow. You still have to field a competitive team. Just announce the signings.
Yeah, and usually
plus, LP House fan does make a good point. They have 2 weeks off. They have 2 weeks off during the League's Cup. 2 weeks is not nothing. It's definitely enough for them to kind of get some feet of them. But I would much
But you
rather
still
them
have
come
games until
before.
August 1st. Yeah.
I'd much rather they come before August 1st because if they announce the signing today, which they haven't announced anything today, by the way,
Of course
in
not.
No,
case
they'll wait till tomorrow.
to absolutely nobody's surprise,
Friday at 4?
Friday at 4, then maybe they get here next week, and then maybe they have sometime before. I'd rather they get here yesterday. Like this is
Yeah.
like the fact that there's a 2-week break is like, yeah, it's okay, but like these are far too small of a victory to kind of claim like, yeah, we got the guy in for 2 weeks so we can settle in. You had a month.
Yeah.
You had a month, and maybe the window wasn't open. Just agree to the shit. You think Chicago waited when they signed Lewandowski? I'm not saying the same caliber, but people are just announcing signings. Just announce your signing.
There's another room in this house that I'm talking about that is empty that needs to be emptied very, very quickly.
Ourselves.
You know which one? You know which one?
Which one?
Which room? Frankie Amaya's, man.
Man, I liked his play, man. I like the way he played very well before getting substituted when Morales was sent off. He had a very good half.
But why he doesn't start? He doesn't do anything.
I don't know.
I don't doubt that he has.
But honestly, he's a good player. No, I disagree with you. I think he's a good player. I just don't understand why Olafroy is not playing him. Like something that we're not understanding.
Train well. He doesn't train well.
But Olafroy praised him whenever he
yeah, because he's a good player. He's a good player, and he had a good game, but he doesn't train well.
Had you Lafroy also praised Thomas Aviles?
You're not Pedri. You're not Pedri, right? You can't move like that. You can't fuck off in training and then expect to play.
Yeah.
So, I mean, look, he did do well. Hopefully we see more of him because I think, first of all, he's good. And second of all, it's a waste to just not have him around. You signed a competitive midfielder. But now with Dani Pereira in as well, it gets even more difficult for him to get minutes. So hopefully that's kind of a wake-up call for him to kind of show up to training and work a bit harder. But technically, he's one of the better players there. Because you'll see it, even if he's not giving it all, the second he gets the ball, bang, it's moving. It's great. It's clean. It's precise. It's technically excellent.
Yeah.
I just don't know if he wants to be here.
We do have a comment from LP Habs fan, the last one. He said, Amaya, Losenko, Escobar, Piet, Pereira, Loturi, Longstaff, Herbers. Am I missing any defensive midfielders on this team right now? No. Let's not, like, Escobar is not a defensive midfielder. He should be, like, he's usually an offensive midfielder, so he's more of an attacking option. Yes, he did play further down because they didn't have a choice, but he's not supposed to be in there. And Herbers is the same. And Herbers is the same too. Yeah, exactly. So you do have Amaya, Losenko, Piet, Pereira, Loturi, and Longstaff, which is 6. And since you're playing with a 3-man midfield, this is what you need. You need 6 midfielders. So I'm okay with depth. We're good there.
All right. So we do have a lot of topics to cover today. We went extensively for CF Montreal. Let's quickly look at their last game against Toronto FC, which happened on Thursday. It was the derby. We have the starting lineup. At goalie, we had Thomas Gillier. On the right back, we had David Bugay. The back two, we had Jalen Neal, Brian Vera. And left back, we had Luca Petrasso. In the midfield, we had Victor Lottori, Samuel Piet, and Matty Longstaff. And at the left winger, we had, I thought he was right winger, but we had Hennady Sinchuk, Daniel Rios, and Noah Streit. Okay, so let's talk about it quickly because it was a 0-0 draw for the derby. Overall thoughts, guys, just quickly to finish it, because I found it to be a very sloppy game. It felt like a real first game back from like off season where, first of all, Toronto did not seem to be able to find each other, but they've also had a lot of injury issues, so it was kind of normal. But CF Montreal, they've been playing together the first half of the season. Yeah, they had a 2-month break, but a lot of these players have been playing together. And I just felt there was a lack of chemistry overall between the players and just sloppy play in general. So tell me, guys, Elias, I'll start with you. What were your overall thoughts of the game? And then just finish with the top and the flop.
This Hennady Sinchuk is worth every penny.
Oh, yeah.
This Hennady Sinchuk is 1v1 as a demon. The final third and the final touch is still a little bit difficult, but already just the fact that he's 1v1, he's dangerous, he occupies space, he's taking people on, he's confident, he's quick. it's great. And I already like what I've seen with him with Prince Owusu. I feel like they have a much better understanding than what, for example, Ivan Jaime and Prince Owusu had. So again,
That's not that
if
hard,
Prince,
but yeah.
yeah, the bar's not that high. But if there's if there's like uh, a Prince Owusu in that position instead of Danny Rios, then all of a sudden infinitely better. And I think Montreal win this game. I think that they were much better than Toronto. I think Toronto kind of showed up looking for a draw. They got exactly what they wanted. But I think that, we talked a bit about how this midfield and this defense is a competitive bottom of the playoff bracket team. And that's true. The final third is difficult, but what we saw from the midfield in terms of controlling opposition, what we saw from the defense in terms of keeping, Dale Corbiano, who's still a potent threat, who Logan Sargent, who is granted not in the best form, but still a very dangerous attacker. Logan Sargent, Formula One. Josh Sargent is at bay. It was very nice to see. I think Jalen Neal and Brian Vera had a fantastic game as a pairing. And so all these things are bright spots. The final third was horrible, right? As good as the back line was, as good as the midfield was at nullifying anything Toronto was trying to create, the attacking three in the final third was abysmal, which is kind of weird because Noah Strait didn't do a whole lot, but the little stuff he did, I found at least he attempted, he was trying, he wasn't just a passenger, even if it wasn't working. He had a good kind of bounce back spirit. And Sinchuk, I think, had the best game he's had since he got to Montreal. And Danny Rios did what he could. Right? Danny Rios is strong. He had good hold up play, but he's not going to be Prince Owusu. He's not going to steal you a game, which is unfortunate. But as a front three, this is not a competitive MLS front three. Let's call a spade a spade.
That's exactly it. Like, let's not forget, I completely agree with everything that Elias said. We had a very good game defensively. We had a very good game in the middle, creating chances, stopping chances. This was okay. I think that, Hennady Sinchuk had 4 chances, big chances, and he didn't put even one in the back of the net. Like, if he had scored one,
he only got one on target.
2, I think. Two of them.
You're right.
Yeah, sorry. 2 of them. One in the first half, one in the second. So if he would have scored, we would have a completely different discussion right now. But he didn't, and that's the problem. But let's not forget, we didn't have any of our starting front three. Sinchuk is not our starting front right winger. Streit is not our starting front left winger, and Rios is not a starting striker. So, knowing all that, with the performances of these 3 being the backups, I'm okay with that.
Yeah.
I think they did enough as backups, but we would have liked to have a win. Unfortunately, we didn't, and it's normal because we don't have any firepower up front because we didn't recruit anyone. So at that point, I'm happy that we didn't concede because this kind of game, under the Nadal, under Wilmer Cabrera, under any other coach in the past...
TBT, baby!
Any other coach in the past 4 years, except Wilfried Nancy, would have lost the game 2-0. Any one of them. So at that point, I look at that and I'm like, you know what? I think it's positive with the squad that we have. Unfortunately, we have a shitty squad up front. It's as simple as that.
À suivre. Go ahead, Hadi, if not, I'll...
Yeah, go ahead yourself, man.
No, that's it. So I agree with everything you guys said. But I really like Hennady Sinchuk really impressed me in this game because you might say he's a backup and all that, but I felt like for the first time in all the games that I've seen Hennady Sinchuk play, I saw him a confident player, a player that was willing to take a little bit of risk with his fancy moves. Now, there's definitely a lot of things that he's got to improve in his game. I do think that. But overall, just I think a different player, a player that we used to talk a lot about in this show before, how game time, like in practice, he looked so strong, but game time he seemed to shy away or didn't really seem to find his game. I really thought he was confident in his game and he really wanted to impose himself in the right flank. But there's still a lot of work to be done overall. As you guys mentioned, the front three is kind of a mystery because none of them seem to find each other, and it makes it harder for me to understand a little bit what Philippe Lafroy's intention is. Now, I tweeted about this, guys, and I want to hear your thoughts on this because based on what I saw in the video, I'm not a doctor, nor do I pretend to be, but I have seen people have concussions. When I was playing football, I had a lot of my teammates that had concussions, and I know the symptoms. Never had one, thank God. But I don't think Victor Lotori was okay after the 5th minute when he hit his head really hard on the ground and he was stumbling. I felt like a lot of times he might have been confused. I know he got tested on the sideline, and he must have passed the test that he was given, but I didn't like his game after that. I felt like he was very late and very kind of a sloppy game. Did you guys see the same game as me? I know, Elias, we spoke about it at the FC Super game a little bit, but after watching the game much later, I did see like a very sloppy play for him, and I don't know. Is it just me to maybe think that he should have been taken out of the game because of a concussion, or you guys don't see it the same way I did?
Honestly, I didn't realize it on the game until I watched your tweet and I read your tweet. I didn't realize it. I think he had an okay game. He did his work defensively. I didn't think he had a bad game, Victor Lotori. So I didn't really feel that. Now, you might be right. Again, you might be right, but I didn't see it myself.
Okay, that's fair. I mean, maybe it's me just being too.
No, you might be right, but I didn't see it.
Elias, do you think, or are you similar to Hadi? You're like,
He was no worse or better than I've seen him without a concussion. Okay. So I mean, I did notice that it was weird that he kind of got up and fell back down again. So he may have gone lightly stung a little bit, but they have concussion protocol there for a reason. Yeah, I mean, they have concussion protocol there for a reason. So hopefully they didn't do anything irresponsible and kind of just say, "Hey, you're fine. Get back out there and shake it off." But yeah, we'll find out more information, I guess, this week if he's fit and he's ready to play, and if he travels with the team as well. Because even flying with a concussion is not recommended at all. So even if he's making the trip, it probably gives an indication to how he's feeling. But I didn't see him wobbly or like his legs were giving out or anything like that. So I mean, hopefully it's nothing like that.
Awesome. All right. Well, yeah. Let's go ahead and do the top and flop if you guys want. For me, the top, honestly, kind of hard to find, but I did mention it was Gnadi Centric. I really liked how he imposed the game. Flop, I have to say, it has to be for me, Danny Rios. I didn't like his game at all. I don't think he ever found the flow of the game. It was not necessarily his best game, and I think this was an opportunity for him to prove that he needs more minutes, that he could be a potential starter, at least give us the idea that there's something there. Those are my top and my flop. Hadi, Elias, so your top and your flops?
Yeah, I'll give my top of, I liked Sinchuk's game, but for him to be a top, he needs to score. Not scoring on 4 chances, for me, we can't be my top. That's my opinion on this. When you're an offensive player, this is what you're here for, right? So my top was Luca Petrasso. I really loved his game. I think he was really clinical in the back. I loved what he did. He was at the right position all the time. Loved him. Flop, I don't usually like to put a sub as a flop, but it's going to be a sub, and it's going to be Fabian Herbers. For me, Herbers has to be, he's a veteran. He's the one that should be able to do something whenever we need him.
He did nothing.
It's like we were playing 10 against 11. I haven't seen him on the pitch at all. Nothing against him. I think he's a really interesting midfielder, but sometimes he's just absent, and he was absent on that game.
That absence, Hadi, you can take it from maybe a first year
Yeah,
player or somebody that's adapting
exactly.
to the MLS. But Fabian Herbert has way too much MLS experience
Yeah.
and is a veteran. Elias, your top and flop?
My top's gonna be Jalen Neal. Fantastic.
Yeah, he's been good. Yeah, he was very good.
Fantastic. Honestly, if I could give
Both
it
of them.
joint,
Vera.
if I could give it a joint
Yeah.
top to him and Brian Vera,
Yeah.
they're honestly together. Don't
Best
change
central
anything
defense. Man,
unless you're
I
rotating
think-
the squad. Don't change a thing.
I think it's the best pair of center backs we've had for at least 4 or 5 years. I'm not even joking.
But you know what? Jalen Neal did give up possession directly to a TFC player late in the game, which scared the
That's gonna
crap out of
happen.
me. Yeah, but whoa, man, that was bad timing to get that. I was like,
Yeah,
whoa.
I know, but
mistakes are always gonna happen. But
Yeah.
it's in the nature of playing at center back that
Yeah.
you're gonna mess up a pass. I'm not too worried about that, but I do agree with Hadi. I think this is probably the best back. Again, haven't played as a back four in a long time, but the best center back pairing since they switched. I think this is definitely the combo that works. All we need now is for Jalen Neal not to get hurt. My flop is Georgi Mihailovic. Oh,
oh man, you know
nothing.
when he hit that,
Jules
that
Anthony
corner,
saying was a more impactful substitute than
defense.
Georgi Mihailovic. Jules Anthony saying was playing as a 6, man.
man,
He-
Georgi Mihailovic was
They
about
threw
to
him
put
out.
the
They threw
bicycle
Vincent
kick.
out there, and we're like, "Shit, just go and do something."
Man, Mihailovic would have put a bicycle kick.
I would have
Like he was that close. He was that
Right.
close.
Unbelievable. And I saw him come on. I'm like, "Oh my god!" I read the script. He's gonna fuck us.
Yeah.
It's past half an hour. I could say it. He's gonna fuck us, and he didn't do anything.
He
He
didn't.
was completely
God.
out. So
Thank God.
CF Montreal legend Georgi Mihailovic, I salute you. Thank you. You are the flop of the game.
I love it.
Yeah. So that was nice. Are we going to talk about Pereira's debut? I
We
think
kind of
liked
touched on
it.
it already, but
I
yeah,
liked it.
sure.
honestly, yes,
Nothing
I liked
amazing.
it too. I just wanna state one thing, okay? Just one thing, and then I think we can move on to the next segment, unless you have, you want to answer, guys. I'm just afraid of one thing. I'm afraid that we brought Danny Pereira from Austin again the same way we did when we brought Victor Wanyama to replace Samuel Piet.
Mhm.
So I hope this is not the case, because that's not where we need someone. We need someone up front, in front of Samuel Piet. So hopefully, because the way Philippe Lafroy was talking, he's going to be the one that dictates the tempo. He's going to be the one that really, controls the game. Usually this is what a 6 does. And I just hope that doesn't mean that Samuel Piet is going to be on the bench, because again, yes, Thursday he had an awesome 61 minutes. Samuel Piet, he was very, very, very good. He's good at what he does, and hopefully we're not going to see that again. Bringing a player that, maybe it's going to be better in a specific scheme, but at the same time, your player already does the job. Like, bring someone that brings an added value, and not someone to replace someone that's already doing the job. So hopefully we'll not see that in the future.
But I do
I
have
see
something
what
to
you
say
mean.
to that, Hadi. Sorry, Elias, because you're
Pretty
saying
sure,
I
pretty
hope
sure.
it's not to replace Samuel Piet, but we're talking about two different Samuel Piets right now. Because when Victor Wanyama came in, Samuel Piet was what, 28, 27 maybe, and now he's already
31 is not old. Do not tell me
I'm
he's
not saying
old.
that.
Okay,
I'm not
thank
saying
you.
that. I'm not saying he's old, but he's at a
Ancient.
different phase of his career, and he's even not being selected for the national team anymore. He's
But
like,
that's different.
he's in a sense already getting ready to maybe do other things in his life. He's not retiring
No.
tomorrow. I'm not saying that,
No.
but he could become more of a role player than a starter now.
No, I disagree.
I know you disagree,
Here's
but
the
I'm
thing,
just saying,
Hadi,
go ahead.
I understand what Andy says, but the thing is, like, with his workload and with what he does, like, if he was a box-to-box midfielder, it's an entirely different story. But he reads the game so well that I'm not too. He could still do this for 3 or 4 more years if he wants to, right? If
Easily.
it was under Donadel and he was never starting, then I said, okay, he's out of there. Supra can go snap him up or whatever. It'll be fantastic.
Yeah,
But
100%.
But in like this, in a midfield 3 with no 10, and him just operating as that sentinel, I think he could do this for at least 3 or 4 more. He's in fantastic physical shape. He reads the game incredibly well. He's got wonderful IQ, and so I don't agree with Hattie necessarily, but just because it's a small sample size, and he took off Piet and Latour at the same time because he said it straight up. I wanted to go for the win.
I
So
just
have
said
a
I
more
hope
offensive
that's
minded,
not the case.
right?
I just hope that
I
it's not
hope
the
as
case.
well too.
Okay.
That being said, I wouldn't be opposed to him playing as a 6 for one reason. Well, I have 2 examples for this reason, and one example is Antonio Conte's Chelsea, and the other one is Ancelotti's AC Milan, which is it's relative, right?
Okay, one second.
but it's more
Ancelotti's
just
AC Milan is a
philosophically.
4-3-2-1. A 4-3-2-1, so that means that he was playing with 2 defensive midfielders. He wasn't playing with one.
I'm talking about early
It's
2000s.
Sapando Noel. It's 4-3-2-1.
I'm talking about the 2000s then, not Ancelotti. Ancelotti's was the 90s, right, with Rijkaard and Bullet, and
Yes.
I'm talking about after that. I'm talking about
with Kaká also. It was Ancelotti.
I'm talking about specifically these 2 examples. They had notorious ball recovery specialists in Gattuso and Conte, and neither of them played as a 6. Who did they have as a 6 instead? They had Pirlo and Jorginho as registas. So if you want to have Dani Pereira kind of operate as the pivot, and then you have Samuel Piet kind of just let loose to only win balls back, but not necessarily be in that pivot's position in possession.
Yeah,
I don't hate
that.
that.
I don't mind. Yeah,
I'll
take that too.
So I think there's a world where
that.
they coexist. I do think that at least the safe option is have Piet play as a 6 and have Pereira play as maybe a bit more of a deep lying playmaker, because Piet can find him no problem. Piet can break lines and he could find him so Pereira can turn. That's not an issue. But it's more just now like finding the place where he can impact the game the most, because you don't really have runners in behind on this team.
Yeah, I agree.
But Wusu, who makes runs, but in terms of wingers, you have people who come in short who want the ball to their feet, but you don't have many people that are. You don't have a Lasla and a Maduro, right? Yeah. So I think more now about having him play deep and kind of control so that everyone moves together as a unit would make a lot more sense.
I completely agree. Completely agree with you. Good. So we're on the same page. Okay, guys. So as you know, we do have a sponsor. So we say a huge thank you to our friends at Impact Essentials for being part of the Ball is Round family. Whether you're getting ready for match day, you're getting ready for a wedding, you're getting ready for a picnic, now a barbecue, whatever you want. It's going to be nice to be able to have a really beautiful beard and really clean beard, as you know.
For those of you that are listening to an audio, Hadi is touching his beautiful beard.
Of course, I like my beard. I really like my beard. So make sure you're looking your best with their premium all-natural grooming products. Visit impactessential.ca and use promo code TBIR to save 15% on your order. So 15% on your order. Every purchase will help support our show here and keep us bringing you the best coverage of CF Montreal, Roses FC, Supra du Quebec, but also the Canadian men's national team, the Canadian women's national team, and more and more and more and more. So let's get back to the beautiful game, my friend Andy.
Let's go, baby. So next up, we got the only Montreal team that won this weekend, Roses FC, had a convincing 2-0 victory over the Calgary Wild on Friday night, which was their makeup game that had been postponed, I believe, 2-3 weeks ago now. And yeah, so that was a very, very interesting game. They played at the same time as FC Supra du Quebec.
No, 2 hours later.
2 hours later, absolutely. After, and we'll talk about it later, after very, very... I don't know how to say it, but anyways, so here goes the lineup. So we have Anna Karpenko at goalie, Megan Sauvé, Lucy Capadana, and Anne-Valerie Seto as the back line. Haley Whitaker and Tanya Boychuk playing the wingback position, as well as Charlotte Bibeau and Chloe Minas at midfield. Lisa Pechersky and Noemi Paquin playing on the wings, with Elise Bennett at top as a 9. All right, so let's talk about the game overall. Like we said, how do I ask this question? Do you guys think Roses FC won this game, or do you guys think Calgary lost this
Oh
game?
man,
Dude,
you can't,
no, man.
man.
I think Calgary
Every
lost
time
it.
we win, every time you win, it's we win. You say it's the opponent that's not good,
Did
and
you
every
see
time we
those
lose, we
goals by
say that we're
Roses
not good,
FC?
man. Like no, we did well, man. We played a good game, man. Come on, give them that.
Look,
Honestly, no, I no. Honestly, I think Robert Rositoyu, and I will also add Marinette Pichon, have made a great job with that team. Why did I talk about those two? It's very simple. First of all, I think the fact that Robert Rositoyu went to do that license and came back. When he came back, I think something happened. Something happened in that locker room. I'm not saying that the assistant coach Maris didn't do a good job. Not at all. But you have a head coach for a reason. When he's not here and when he's here, usually it's different. It's like having the teacher or a substitute teacher, right? So it's not the same thing, right? So I feel that when he came back, something happened because that team is transformed since he came back.
mhm.
That's one point, and that's on the pitch. Now, outside the pitch, I think Marinette Pichon and, of course, Adrien and all the staff did a wonderful job signing Mimi Alidou and F. Perissé. And I think that signing those two players was a kick in the butt of a lot of players on the pitch, saying, you know what, guys, we are having top tier players coming and join that team because we're that good. So if you're not up to the task, it's about time that you get up to the task. And at the same time, I don't know if any of you guys that are listening to our interviews that we do after training and after games and everything. And we did talk to Marinette Pichon, and she said it very, very well. She said it, of course, adding quality is super important. And of course, at the end of the year, I'm going to have to take decisions. So again, that was that pressure that she put on the players saying, you know what? You need to up your game. And honestly, since that day, that team is transformed. They're able to win games the good way with beautiful plays, but also able to win those crappy games. And this is exactly what they did in Calgary. They were never, they were very far from getting a loss, very far from losing that game. They controlled the tempo. They scored on set pieces. And by the way, shout out to Paquin, who had wonderful deliveries. And you know what? They scored 2 goals on set pieces, and maybe 2 or 3 more set pieces were very, very dangerous. So at that time, when you say, in French, you say la chance du champion. You say that whenever you're playing bad and you still win the game, this is what a champion looks like. And for me, this is exactly what a champion looks like. It looks like when I look at the Roses.
I want to clear that up because I don't want to say that I think Roses FC played bad. I think they played fantastic. I do also think that Calgary was terrible. But Roses FC, as you mentioned, Hari, Noemi Paquin had a hell of a game. And when you talk about the whole, kind of getting a wake-up call, I think there are certain players right now that have upped their game. I've been very, very critical of Hayley Whitaker in this show, but I have to say, since Robert Rositoyu has come back, and even maybe the game before, she has upped her game big time in the sense that she's been changed. Now she's a left wing back, right? And she used to play a lot in the right. Since she's been there, she is lethal, man. She is literally always wide open, always doing very good crosses. She is making that both sides difficult to cover. Same with Tanya Boychuk. Tanya Boychuk was struggling up front. Now she's playing as a wing back. We talked about it last week that she's not very comfortable in that position. But at the same time, it's kind of like, hey, right now you're playing in a position that Robert Rositoyu has said in post-game interviews and post-practice interviews, we are looking for wing backs. That means that, what does that mean, guys, when your coach is saying that to the media and you are playing that position? That means that your starting spot, your minutes are at risk for whoever they sign because that's the position they are looking for. So I agree with you 100%. I do think Roses FC played their game and they played very well. The goals were not highlight reels. They might actually go to not top 10 for Calgary, not for Roses. But I'm really happy that Lucy Capadonna scored her first goal with Roses FC. And I believe that is also, I might be wrong, that is also Hayley Whitaker's first goal. But it happened the way it happened, and it was fantastic. And it was fantastic the way it played. I think Robert Rosatoyu is making it work. Still missing some pieces, especially at left back with Stephanie Hill. We have, again, no idea when she'll be back. But he's making it work, and having Megan Sauvé play that position. At the striker position is where it starts getting a little bit difficult to analyze, because you have Claire Magnard, which we talked about last week, that is also sometimes kind of questionable in her performance, and we're not really sure what she brings. But overall, just a fantastic game by Rose FC, and it was a deserved win. Lice, thoughts on the game?
What I'm getting from these, especially in the last couple of games, is that it's really just a law of averages sometimes, because Andy mentioned it, and Hattie also, in a sense, like la chance du champion, but it's also just like sheer repetition, because you can go through like you look at some of these losses, especially in that run before Robert Rosatoyu came back. A lot of these losses are, some of it was deserved, and some of it was poor play. Some of it was just like rotten luck, with goalies either having the games of their lives or hitting like 3 crossbars in a game, or this, that, and the other. So there is a kind of a balance. And what I'm seeing now is that, especially like these 2 goals from set pieces, which were, they were well worked, and they did a good job causing chaos in the area and generating mistakes, and they bounced on them. But you have to also kind of take into account that the law of averages is eventually going to catch up. This is still a good set piece team. This is a team with big bodies. Even if, Stephanie Hill is not there, Anne-Valérie Seto and Elise Bennett are both huge aerial threats that need to be taken into account. Why are you laughing, Hattie? What did I do?
Because who scored the second goal.
Yeah, but again, that's the thing, right? Neither aerial
tall,
threat,
and
that's also my point. Neither aerial threat scored. But Anne-Valérie Seto's header on the first goal was amazing.
Man, that was amazing.
And if you look at Chloe Minas, fucking with the flick on header that almost went in, that generated
exactly. When you look at Whitaker and Minas.
And Lucy Capodanno, who's what, like 5'7"? Exactly. I mean, she's not short, but she's definitely not like 6 feet tall like Bennett or Hill. So I think it's more just that this team has always been decent at set pieces at creating a certain amount of danger, and just at some point the law of averages has to catch up. As for Calgary, it's just really bad, man. It's just not a good team. It's not a good soccer team. And like, I get it, when you don't have Ali Hess, it's a huge loss, but Ali Hess does not make this a competitive soccer team. Alexia Putellas does not make this a competitive soccer team. Like, it's just not good. And they don't. And again, I've seen them at home. I've seen them on the road now. I've seen them in good conditions. I've seen them in bad conditions. I've seen them in any kind of setting possible. Heads need to roll, man. They need big changes if they want to stay competitive, because like you guys mentioned, this league is moving on.
Have a new team.
And when you're 6, when you're 6 and you're going to add a 7th team, the worst thing you could do is fall that far behind.
Yeah.
Because it's not like, like even Halifax last year, who finished last place, were A, competitive, and B, still getting results. This Calgary team is, hold on, let me check. This Calgary team is
last, no?
0 wins, 2 draws, and 9
against
losses.
us. The two draws are against the Roses.
In 11 games, they've scored 8 goals and they've conceded 30. This is not a professional environment.
I understand, but still, let's not undermine that win, because we did have 2 draws against them.
I talked about what I liked, and especially, you're right, because it's so easy to draw them. Montreal's done it twice. So it's so easy for Montreal to draw them, especially if you lose focus. But I want to talk a bit about Calgary, because like Andy said, right, there's a new team coming in. This is unacceptable. It's a 7-team league. 1 team hasn't played. I already think Winnipeg is better than Calgary.
Yeah.
They haven't even made a signing yet.
They don't even have 1 player. Yeah, they didn't even have.
And I already think Calgary's better.
Desiree Scott is going to come and play.
100%. She would be the best player on the team. She steps into Calgary right now. So
no, it looks like a deflated squad right now. Calgary. They just
it snowballs, right? So morale's bad, so you play bad, so you lose. So morale gets worse, so you play, and they need something, right? But I think what needs to happen is heads need to roll, and not just like a coach. I think just clean house, because last year they were onto something, and then they had a bad season, and then they kind of ended it okay, but not really that good. And then this season was horrifying.
Yeah,
Yeah, and
it
again,
is.
the Roses FC are also committing on their end. All the other teams in the NSL are committing to making their squads more competitive and be taken seriously as a league. Calgary needs to catch up, and they need to catch up quick because this league is moving on and it's moving on fast too. So, no, it's not to diminish Roses FC, Victor, because the only thing, you guys know me, I did the same thing when we were talking about Canada. You guys thought I was crazy. When a team
You're
in front of
crazy.
you
We
is,
love you, but you're crazy.
I know, I love myself and I know I'm crazy. But the thing is, like, when the other team is really that bad, you have to score more, man. They're giving you way too much. You know, let's talk real quick, guys, real quick before we move on to FC Supra. Top and flop of the game, right? My top, as you mentioned, Hadi, Paquin. Just she didn't score a goal, might not appear in the stat sheet, but wow, the crosses, the positions that she put all the players in during those set pieces, she is killing it, guys. She is killing it. I would obviously love for her to add and be more, I don't know, be more threatening when she's actually playing in the open field instead of just being a set piece threat. But fantastic game. My flop though goes again to Tanya Boychuk. It doesn't seem that it works for her right now, the right wing back. And you thought that was a way to revive maybe her season because she has been struggling up front. But um, I do find that she's struggling a lot, and I would want to see her maybe either go back to her normal position or I don't know, just be better. And it's not necessarily just defensively that she's struggling. I find that she's also struggling offensively. She did have some good moments, I will say that, but again, it's a very bad Calgary team. But if there's any flop in the game, and she didn't have the worst game either, would be Tanya Boychuk to me. Elias, sorry, had to go ahead. You top and your flop.
Yeah, I'll go. My top is Haley Whitaker. Honestly, I think that since she moved as a left wing back, she seems completely liberated, and she doesn't overthink anymore. Because she's playing on her weaker foot, the left foot, she crosses instantly without overthinking it, and it's creating a lot of danger. And at the same time, she seems more concentrated on the defense also. That's what makes her really, really interesting. I'm loving her performances as left wing back. I really, really love it. And of course, it's not because she scored, but it's just her play altogether. I really love it. I
She's
think
aggressive.
she's been
Yeah.
really, really impressive. My flop, I might surprise you, but I would put Elise, aka Evelyn Bennett, as a flop, just because I expect more, man. Like, you're playing against Calgary. It's a bad team. You're one of the best scorers in the league because she's not the best scorer anymore. You should bag a goal or two. Like, this is your chance to show why you're here in the NSL, and you should be that number one threat for Montreal Roses. Right now, it's been a few games that she hasn't scored, and I feel, and if she did, it wasn't that stellar performance that she showed us at the beginning of the season. I feel she's a bit under the weather. I'm not really sure why. We saw her, do a stupid foul at one point. You just really out of frustration at one
Yeah.
point. Um, I feel she's frustrated. She needs to score a goal. Hopefully, she'll get a penalty or something or a tap in just to regain a bit of confidence. But right now, yeah, she needs to put the ball at the back of the net.
Hey, at least she's not tackling players like the
Yeah.
Calgary player is, body slamming one of Charlotte
Oh
Bibo.
my god. Yeah.
Go ahead,
That was wild.
Elias. Your top and the flop of the game.
My top, I mean, see, the thing is, like, I've got a couple that I want to give flowers to. But I think if I have to pick one, it's got to be Anne-Valérie Seto. I think what she brings, especially, with the ball, is so important. On the set pieces, she was dominant. She was a threat.
Should have
every
scored that
time.
header, man.
She should have.
She should have.
Every time she was in there, she was making
my
people
God,
sweat,
man.
and defensively was also a much better performance. I think she had her side in much better shape. I think, Andy talked a bit about Tanya Boychuk and the fact, again, it's a brand new position, but I do think that they have a decent rapport together. Obviously, it needs to be worked on, but when you also take into account the fact that we talked about it, they're basically capitulating wingbacks or basically glorified wingers at this point. I'm okay with it. I do think that she should. I'd like to see her do more, but I'm talking about Anne-Valérie Seto here. I'm going to get back on track. Anne-Valérie Seto was much more present defensively, and I was okay all season with the kind of offset where she's fantastic in possession, super reliable, driving into the midfield, and maybe not as solid defensively. But when you add a good defensive shift to her game, she's as close to perfect as you can get. It's really good. But yeah, I as a flop, I don't have a flop, man.
Calgary.
Can I dodge the question? Can I dodge the question again and say Calgary? I didn't give a flop for Montreal either, but that's gonna be my strategy.
Yeah,
I have enough flops for Supra. Don't worry, I'll give you 4 flops for Supra. But I'm gonna say Calgary because it's a horrible it's a horrible game, and right now it's a very disappointing team.
Oh man, I think Calgary is so frustrated as a club right now, as the players themselves, that they are being forced to like play some weird things and just anyways. We're not here to talk about Calgary, guys. Quickly, just to finish it off, are the Roses FC serious this season? They're right now second place in the standings in the NSL and 7 points away from the first place. We are seeing right now what looks like an incomplete team because there are pieces due to injury that are missing or signings that need to be made. Are the Roses for real this season, especially heading into the second part of the season? Elias, I'll start with you.
Well, first off, they're 4 points off. Second of all,
sorry, those of them.
Absolutely. I mean, yeah, they've been serious since day one. They've been serious since the first game of the season. Absolutely, they're serious. They just need to kind of turn up more for big games against Toronto, games against Ottawa. I need to see more of that. But right now, they're winning the games they need to, and they're not putting themselves in bad positions from a points tally perspective anymore. They're winning the games they're supposed to be winning. So I like it. And they're pulling points when they don't deserve it. When you play that badly against Toronto and then you manage to pull away a draw, that feels like 3 points. So now you just have to kind of keep working at it, and eventually Ottawa is going to drop points, and you have to make sure that you capitalize.
We do have a very important game this Thursday against Toronto.
Yep.
Very important. All right, Hadi, what do you think? Do you think Rose FC are ready to get started in the second half of the season to be competitive and make a good playoff run based on what you're seeing?
Oh yeah, I think that it's a team that has to be in the final. That's the minimum required. They have to be in the final. Now, of course, you're not sure how the draw is going to be, who's going to be finished first, who's going to finish fourth, to know who's going to be in the semifinals. But I think the final is the minimum objective, and hopefully a title. Yeah, they I think along with Ottawa, they're the 2 best teams in the league now. Who's best? Who's better? I'm not really sure. But it's between them and Ottawa this year. As simple as that.
Look, I have full confidence in Robert Rossitoyu making the proper adjustments for the rest of the season to keep this team competitive. If he can find a way to elevate Haley Whitaker's game, which he did, if he can find a way to make Megan Sauvé play center back in a back 3 and convert Anne-Valérie Seto in a center back as well, even though she's a natural central midfielder, and make your starting well, not your starting anymore, kind of your backup striker in Tanya Boychuk play wing back. I have confidence that once he's given the right pieces, Robert Rossitoyu is going to be okay for the rest of the season. But let's go ahead and move on to the last topic of the day. We do have to talk about it. It's not the funnest topic to talk about today, but it's got to be spoken about. FC Supra. Guys, we were at Stade Boréal. right? We were at
Mm.
Stade Boreal and we stayed the full 90 minutes and we saw FC Supra, who were back in CPL action against Vancouver FC and lost in a very, very lopsided game, 5-1 at Stade Boreal. I don't, there's, we can expand on this so much because I think, um, where do we start? I don't even know where to start. Yeah, let's look at the lineup. We can look at the game. That's not the lineup, Elias. Then we had a goalie Joaquim Mili and the right back Charles Auguste, uh, Delande and Chrétien as the center backs. Then we had Abzi as the left back, Alessandro Biello and Abubakar Sissoko as midfielders, Clement Bahia and David Chouanière as wingers, as well as Sean Rea as the 10, and Loic Quemi as the 9. Okay, we have to talk about it because Nick Razaghi made changes before halftime to his whole midfield. Okay, what did you guys think of this game? It's so difficult to analyze it, but we have to. What did you think of this game?
Is it difficult to analyze?
Super
I
easy
don't
to
think
analyze.
it's super easy to analyze. I think it's a bunch of players that came and they thought that they could play like they play with their friends in the park, and that forgot that they're a professional team. They forgot that they need to win points. They forgot that you have 1,400, 1,700 people here to cheer them on. They forgot that they're having a salary. It's a professional mistake what they did.
And that they have Ismail Kone watching.
But that's irrelevant. I don't care about names. I don't care. I don't care about names. I've always
I'm going to
said
bring
it.
up last week's argument.
Just do it.
I don't care about names. I don't care. I'm not the average Joe, Elias. No, but honestly, man, this is unacceptable. Unacceptable. And if I am Rocco Placentino right now, I'm doing Joey Saputo. I'm going in the dressing room. I'm breaking stuff. Because honestly, like, we can talk about tactics as much as we want. We can talk about whatever happened on the pitch. We can talk about the opposition. It's irrelevant. The players were not here. They were not here to play that game. They were just absent. They came, they were empty shells. Empty shells. And I am Nick Razaghi. Honestly, I don't know what I would have done. I think the change at the 40th minute, I think that's the only tool that he had to let them know how pissed off he was. How pissed off he was, because that team wasn't playing a soccer game. They weren't they weren't there. As simple as that. Like, I'm repeating myself, but honestly, I don't have anything more intelligent to say.
But that's why it's so hard to analyze it, because usually you want to.
It's not hard. They weren't here, man. It's a team playing against the wall.
There's no tactics. It was nothing. Just shit. That's the whole analysis. The shit.
We looked at each other.
It's not good. And the build-up wasn't good. The transition into the final third wasn't good. The ball recovery, counter-pressing, anything. The effort wasn't there. I'm not going to hang the players out to dry. I don't think Nick Razaghi prepared a good game either. I don't think that the players were the responsibilities. And again, it's a double-edged sword, right? Nick Razaghi, I don't think he prepared the game well. The players definitely didn't show up. It ties it back to one single word. That's why the analysis is so easy. The word is shit. It's just not good. And I think the best thing that they can do as a club is just forget about it, because I don't understand from purely from a metaphysical perspective. I'm getting too fucking spiritual for this shit. How do you go from your best game of the season against Atletico Ottawa, where you play them second place in the league, by the way? You play Atletico Ottawa off the pitch. They're not even in the same league as you. They're not playing the same sport. Every single level of the game, you dominate them. And then you turn around, and in a week later, you drop this absolute stinker. Does not make any sense to me. Because the only way to describe it shit. It's just unprofessional shit. That's it. And we had, I'm going to plug the David Chouanière interview that we did a couple months ago at the beginning of the season. But one of the main things that he's talking about is that a lot of these kids, a lot of these people that have never been in a professional environment before, they have to understand what it's like to come to work every day. You're coming to do your job. And there are certain things asked of you, and there are certain standards that are being set. And sometimes, just by fault of being that good, you set those standards yourself. But they're standards nonetheless. And so you have to understand that you are no longer coming as a semi-professional. You're no longer coming as an amateur. You are coming to work. You are an employee, and certain things are expected of you.
Yeah.
And so until they realize that, we're going to be getting this whiplash where they play amazing for 2 games and they play shit for 2 games. And they play amazing for 2 games. We're going to get that until they fully embrace and fully understand what it means to be a professional soccer player. Because for me, that is the biggest.
Even getting that. We're not.
That's the biggest takeaway of the season for me, is that this team is not a professional team yet. The players are not professional.
I agree with that, but we're not. They're a professional
caliber, but they have been getting results here or results there.
Just Ottawa, just the Canadian Championship. But if you look at the last few results, 1-1 against Pacific, then you win 3-1 against Ottawa and you lose 5-3. Then you lose against Forge. Then you're now lose against Vancouver. Like, the only good thing that happened since the 29th of May was that win against Ottawa in the Canadian Championship.
They beat Toronto 3-1 as well.
That's on the 29th of May.
Yeah.
That was 5 games ago, man.
That's kind of my point, Adi.
But that's been a while. And you're not getting 2 games, but you're not getting 2 games good, 2 games bad.
Because if they lose, I'm not. Remember, right? We also we said this at the beginning of the season, that we're judging more from the style of play and what's being proposed than just the result.
True.
Right?
True.
And so that 2-1 against Forge that happened 2 weeks ago, they should have won. They could have done better. But it's still,
I agree.
It's still a decent performance. The first half against Ottawa, that 5-3 against Ottawa was a perfect microcosm of the season, because the first half was fantastic and the second half was arguably worse than the entire Vancouver game put together. And so that is almost like a perfect example, a sample of what I mean by unprofessional, because we weren't in the dressing room, but you go into the dressing room 3-1 against Atletico Ottawa, you're having a good time, you're smiling, you're laughing, things are good, you sit back, and then you get punched in the mouth. Professional team goes out there and scores a 4th. You go up, you play 3-1, you carry that momentum. This team does not know how to navigate momentum. So that's my biggest takeaway from the first couple games of life as Supra, this first half of the season, is it's unprofessional.
Yeah.
And now I don't know what Nick Rizaghi and what the entire staff are doing to kind of reinforce this. I don't know if they're helping or if they're not helping, but there has to be some kind of diagnosis made about why this team is behaving unprofessionally. Is it the players? Is it the culture? Is it the attitude? Is it the coaching? Is it down to the food they eat? Every single part of this, no stone can be unturned, because that's when you get to the root cause of this problem, and then you can start to work from there.
Yeah, and we also have to keep in mind, because we are looking at what FC Supra does, good or bad, and throughout the season, we've seen that, at the beginning of the season, it felt pretty even, right? Teams were still trying to figure out Nick Rizaghi and FC Supra. So their defense with Mathis Chrétien or Ismail Yeo at the time, Sean Rea and Loic Quemi, they were really having fantastic games, because teams, again, we're trying to figure them out. But when we look at other teams are watching FC Supra just like we are, and they are figuring them out. Now, what is Nick Rizaghi? How is Nick Rizaghi preparing his team to adapt or to change during games to make sure that you continue surprising CPL teams? Because at this point, it just feels like one fate. When Nick Rizaghi makes that substitute, the 2 substitutes in the 40th minute for the 2 midfielders, okay, maybe Biello and Sissoko weren't playing their best games, but did he change anything tactically to make his game better? Or did he just take two bodies out and put two bodies in? Did he adapt anything? He did not. To me, the game didn't change. Vancouver continued to press high and continue to disturb the back line. DeLon was doing the best he could. But as you mentioned, Elias, this team, and I've been to a few of their practices a few months ago, this team has always had a little bit of a discipline issue. A lot of teams do, but it's always how you hold people accountable to their behavior. Certain players have been in and out of the lineups with no explanation, no injuries, right? We had Clement Bahia for a little bit out. We also had Abzi out for a little bit too. Like, there's been issues, and now these issues are starting to come up. Riyad Bey's red card. No matter which angle you see it or what speed you see it, this kid is going to be suspended for a few games. It is not a one-game suspension. That was violent, his red card. It really was. And
the thing is, I don't think that shouldn't be violent conduct. That's just serious.
I would argue that it is a very violent conduct. And honestly, in my opinion, Alessandro Biello should have gotten also red card, but with the high kick.
Yeah.
But it's things like that are very questionable at the FC Supra. What can they do? Is a win what is necessary? Is it 2 wins, 3 wins? What do you guys think FC Supra needs to do from here on out until the end of the season to show that they are a professional soccer team that had some bad games, was on a bad streak, but they are serious about this?
Honestly, I'm just gonna answer, in 2 parts. Okay. First of all, I completely agree with you, Andy, that it's a team that lacks discipline in a way, but I think they also lack structure. In order for a team to work, they need structure. And when I talk about structure, it's not only structure on the pitch, it's structure in the way your week is going on. Like, you can't have a training at 8:30 and then the next day at 5 p.m. and then the next day at 3 p.m. and the next day at 11. And then, no, you need to have a schedule. You need to have a routine. The players need to be in a safe environment, knowing, you know what, I need to wake up at this hour, I go train, I eat at that time. Yes, sometimes you change stuff, and that's okay. But the basics should be here. You need to have a structure around that. But on that game, and that's the first part of the question. The second part of the question is that specific game. I think in that specific game, I will not blame that result, not even by 1 millisecond or whatever, 1 milliword on Nick Razaghi and the staff. This game, for me, it's not a staff problem. It's an attitude problem. It's inside their head. The players weren't ready to play a game. I don't care about the preparation of a staff. Whenever you're a professional, at least one of them should be professional enough to be able to say to everybody, hey, man, we're not playing now. Yeah. And we haven't seen that. There wasn't any leader on the pitch that went and started yelling at everyone else, saying, hey, man, what are you guys doing?
Whose job is that? Which player on the pitch?
I'm not sure.
David Choignard. And he is not...
No, okay. One second. There are different kinds of captains, okay? David Choignard is never going to be that guy.
Okay, so who is that guy?
David Choignard is the kind of guy that's the professional that comes to training, that works like that leads by example. Okay. You need a Mathis Chrétien. You need Aboubakar Sissoko, but he hasn't been having a great season. But you need that kind of player to step up and say, hey, guys, we're getting slammed here. And we didn't see that. And for me, on this specific game, I will not blame Nick Razaghi and his staff. Not at all. I do blame them for the lack of structure. Completely agree with you, Andy. 100%. That team needs to be structured. This is not the way that a professional club behaves. It's not. It's not the way a professional club behaves. Every time I have to go to the training, we don't know at what time they train. Like, this is not normal, man.
Yeah.
And I've been covering Cfmtl, and I cover the Roses, and I've been covering soccer since I've been watching soccer since I was a kid, and I've seen clubs in Europe. I've never seen that. Never.
And now they're
Never
limiting
seen
it to
that.
25 minutes for the media, by the way. Huh? Not
This
a full
is not
practice.
a problem. This is not a problem. I need structure. I don't care about myself. I need structure. I need to make sure that the players know how their week looks like be ahead of the week. Like beforehand. It's not normal that they don't know. They know like 2 days before. That this is not normal.
Yeah, I mean, it's, and you're absolutely right, Hadi. There's a lot to be, and it's usually, right now I think we're kicking a horse when it's down, but at the same time they haven't really shown much of a difference. I am blaming certain part of it on Nick Razaghi and 100% on the players. But there needs to be some changes. I don't know if it's a lineup change. I don't know if it's a structural change. I don't know what it is. But if this season is gonna quickly gonna get out of hand, if no changes are made soon. One last thing, Hadi, you were at the press conference.
Yeah.
Because if you guys want to go ahead and hear the audio on our Patreon, what did you feel? What did you see? What did you maybe, because it's a heated environment. It's a and we saw a few quotable moments where it was Charles Auguste and Nick Razaghi that were there, that they they weren't too happy.
Yeah, and you saw the contrast between the opponents, the Vancouver guys, and Tiernobat that came, and he was super smiling and happy, and giving high fives to the press. He was so happy. And you saw Martin Nash that was super happy, and he's like, it's not a 5-1, and trying to be politically correct. That's super important. And at the same time, you see Charles Auguste. I know a lot of people, in the media room were a bit surprised because he was smiling, but I feel that Charles Auguste was smiling because he was hiding behind that smile. I'm not joking, the guy was about to break and cry at any moment. The guy I saw him a couple of times doing that, and he was about to cry, man. So he was putting a smile just because this is the only way he could protect himself from crying in front of the camera. And you know what? I want to say props and good job to Charles Auguste, because he showed up and he went in front of media to face the music. So I don't care if he smiled. If he smiled, at least he was there. And at the same time, as soon as he went out, Nick Razaghi was coming in, and then they had a chat. And the chat seemed heated. I'm just saying exactly what I observed, but it seemed heated. And I'm not sure why it was heated. I'm not sure what happened. But I know Charles Auguste, when I asked him about, the changes that happened at the 40th minute, I told him, how did you guys feel? His answer was like, it's the first time in my career that I see that. So if I'm the coach, that's a bit problematic, because you're going against the coach in the way you're answering. This is my way of interpreting stuff. At the same time, Nick Razaghi came, and I asked him the same question, and his answer was, it wasn't tactical. It wasn't anything. I wanted to give them a kick in the ass. This is exactly verbatim what he said. I wanted to give them a kick in the ass. And you know what? That, for me, I can understand him. I can relate to him. Like, the team wasn't doing shit. It wasn't doing shit. So, yeah, I don't know. Honestly, I hope this is a turning point for FC Supra. I hope that is a turning point, because now we say ça passe ou ça casse in French. So it either works out and they become a team, or it's going to break and they're going to go downhill from here. Because right now, this is where they need a wake-up call.
The whole CPL has... Sorry. The whole CPL has one defensive approach to FC Supra. One. And they're going to defend one player and take FC Supra out. Who are they defending?
Sean Rea,
you're out. That's it. You're done.
I disagree, because you do have Kwame, that's a bit tricky. You do have Chrétien whenever he comes up, whenever he plays, he's pretty tricky.
Okay, you covered Kwame.
Yellow. You don't have Yellow.
The only goal that happened, Rea had nothing to do with it.
Exactly. It was Abzi that scored that crossed, and Bahia that scored the goal. So I disagree with that. But I do where I agree with you, Andy, is that again, I think that if you handle the two midfielders, then they can't do anything. If you handle, and that's exactly what they did. They were man marking Alessandro Biello and Abubakar Sissoko. And once they did that and they were able to do that, the team was completely lost. This is exactly what happened.
We saw Sean Rea drop almost into like as an 8, as a 6 to pick the ball up to kind of do it, because look, Biello has been mildly inconsistent, but overall has been excellent, I think, in his first proper season as a professional player. And if you give him space to operate, he's going to pick you apart, and he'll be able to break lines. And like Hadi said, right, Mathis Chrétien, who can either break lines with the ball or just literally bring the ball into the final third by himself.
Take matter into his own hands.
So I think that, that mid block, like a low block won't work against a Supra, because you have people that can shoot from distance, you have people that could whip great crosses in. That mid block is so important. And I think, Bobby Spiniotis in the 2 games that he's played has maybe highlighted that the best, because there were 2 games that were particularly boring, but they were damn effective. So teams may not do it as efficiently, but the Supra may be more exposed against quote unquote weaker teams that can deploy this mid block, because it was genuinely, it's just running into a wall. So I really hope that, Mathieu with an interesting comment. The problem with players come back has never been talent, but rather mental toughness. I don't think mental toughness is an issue either. I think mentality might be might be a better term, because it's can you operate mentally as a professional? Can you shrug off bad moments? Can you reinforce and double down on the good ones? I think that's what needs to be focused on a bit more than necessarily mentally tough. I don't think they back down from opposition or anything like that. I don't think there wants to be, intimidated. A lot of these guys played against TFC as a semi-pro team, right? So I think that, that aspect of it may not be a problem, but I think the mental issue is definitely there. But one thing that's for sure is that if this team wants to get back on track, a lot more heated conversations need to happen. Right, at all levels, right, from Rocco all the way down. So hopefully this by this time next week we have a mildly more positive outlook on life. Please. Because this was a fun episode. It's a bit of a downer, but that's going to do it for episode 271 of the Balls Round podcast. Thank you everyone who tuned in, who commented, who interacted. If you're listening to this on playback or watch this on playback, hello. Thank you very much for watching. Thank you much for making it to the end. You are loved. You are appreciated. Thank you. Fantastic. Our fantastic listeners. The podcast is free. The podcast will always be free. However, we have a Patreon. If you feel generous, if you've got a couple bucks to spare and you want to help us continue to grow the program, continue to grow the product, to make it to training, to provide you with all this cool stuff and that lets us do what we do as well as possible, it is infinitely appreciated. You get lots of really cool stuff. You get full access to all the training notes and any of the exclusive interviews that we do with coaches. Sometimes we're the only ones there, and sometimes we get some really cool sound bites. You get full access to that, including sneak preview to any interview, any videos that we make upwatch, where we, now that Cfmtl is back, we're going to be doing, weekly previews with media from opposing teams. If you don't have any money to spare, that's fine. You could still sign up for free on the Patreon. You could still see all this cool stuff. And remember that, we do this with all the love in our hearts and all and everything we can. With every spare second, we're working on this. So if you want to support us, even just follow us on social media. Follow the pod, follow us individually, and we've always got good stuff, or maybe some brain dead text, a little bit of both. It's the spice of life. But one thing is for certain: next week we'll be here for episode 272 of the Balls Round podcast.